Former New York City Comptroller Brad Lander thinks this next stop should be in Washington, but will have to defeat a sitting congressman to do it. So why are you running, and why are you trying to defeat a sitting congressman, Dan Goldman?
So this moment is a five-alarm fire for our democracy. Donald Trump is abducting our neighbors and corrupting our government. Cost of living is skyrocketing. And in my opinion, corporate Democrats like Dan Goldman don't know what time it is. Instead of taking on billionaires who are driving up costs and empowering Trump, they just keep taking money from them.
But do you think that you would be better opposing Trump than he is? I mean, he has a record. He led the impeachment proceedings against Trump in his first term. He's taken him on. Why would you be better at taking on Trump?
Yeah, look, my real beef with him is that he's not taking on the wealthy special interests and billionaires that have brought Trump in the first place, that gave us this affordability crisis, that keep giving money to corporate Democrats, and people get fed up. And in my opinion, that's why folks voted for Trump in the first place. And that's what we got to change.
But the thing is this, you have a situation where Trump is still going to be in power. And if you win, it's still unclear whether the Democrats will take control of the House or not, especially with redistricting.
We're going to take control of the House, but
you
okay.
still have a Republican Senate, possibly.
Hopefully we'll win the Senate, too. But Donald Trump will be in the White House, and Democrats in Congress are going to have to fight smarter and harder than we've been doing.
But how do you do that? I mean, he has the bully pulpit, number one, and he is a social media powerhouse.
But look,
how do you do that?
You focus on fights people care about. So let's take health care for starters. That's one good thing Democrats did last year. They focused the budget fight on health care subsidies. And people know Donald Trump screwed us, took away our health care subsidies, our Medicare, our Medicaid, and we can get that back. It will have budget power. That budget can't pass without House Democrats.
But he has the veto pen.
Well, if he wants to pass a budget, it'll have to be a budget that restores health care subsidies to people, and then people see we're fighting for them and delivering on things that really matter.
You were a controller. You know about vetoing things. He can do that.
Well, but that shows what we're fighting for. If Donald Trump wants to veto, to not get to a budget, rather than let people have their health care again, that's a fight we got to be willing to have. People don't know what Democrats stand for. I want us to stand, of course, for taking on Trump, but for delivering on housing affordability, on health care, instead of sending money for endless wars.
See, but I'm not saying that your goals are bad. What I'm saying to you is that making a good fight could also lead to nothing happening, to dysfunction in Washington, and that's what people don't want.
Well, but this is where it's like, okay, we want to pass a budget. But that budget can't strip people of their health care. So that's, if we are clear, that's our fight. Here's the number one thing we're fighting for. Then you go do battle. And yeah, that's what politics are about. People have to know what you fight for.
You've been endorsed by the mayor of the city of New York, Mr. Mamdani. How much does an endorsement matter in these congressional races? Well,
in this case, that endorsement really builds on the partnership that we established in the mayor's race when I cross-endorsed him to make sure Andrew Cuomo would not be the mayor. And I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and said, I didn't know you could do that. And people want team players. Politics doesn't have to seem like a sour or selfish ego trip. It could be more like a team sport like the Knicks on behalf of the city we love. And at this moment, I think his support really does symbolize that.
Since you brought up Andrew Cuomo, I have to ask you this question. A number of city councilmen have written a letter to the mayor of the city of New York asking him to take a position about whether his nursing home policies were actually policies that followed health department procedures. Do you think that's something that the mayor of the city of New York should get involved in?
Well, look, I know a lot of those families who lost loved ones in nursing homes who don't feel like they've ever gotten answers to what really was the policy. We've kind of tried to not look at the pandemic. You know, it's very painful. But I think understanding what really happened there so we can make sure it never happens again is reasonable.
The question I have, though, is that does it look a little bit like a grudge match since he beat him once in the primary and then he ran again and he had to beat him again?
Well, it shouldn't be it should be in the context of what are we going to learn about what we got wrong, and that decision to send people with COVID into nursing homes, I think, was a mistake. So let's make sure we don't do it again.
So Israel has been a huge issue in this campaign. This past week, the House Armed Services Committee voted to put money in their budget for different programs to aid Israel, from missiles to a cooperation agreement to helping unmanned attacks. How do you feel about that? And if you were elected, would you have voted for that?
I will not vote for any additional U.S. military aid to Israel, offensive or defensive.
Why not defensive?
While it is violating international law and Palestinian human rights. It's part of why I'm running. My opponent, Dan Goldman, has voted for every standalone aid package to Netanyahu, all of the 2,000-pound bombs that destroyed the schools and hospitals in Gaza. Even Rahm Emanuel thinks that Israel could pay for Iron Dome. Iron Dome is important for protecting Israeli civilians, but Israel can pay for it on its own. Even Rahm Emanuel thinks that, and I don't think New York 10 should have a congressman to the right of Rahm Emanuel.
Do you think Israel should be allowed to exist as a Jewish state?
I believe in the vision of Israel as a Jewish and democratic state, Marcia, but it's not acting consistently with Jewish or democratic values. There's just no democracy with occupation and apartheid.
Well, see, you disagree with the mayor on that, then. He doesn't think it should exist as a Jewish state.
We agree on many things. This is something that we disagree on, but we do agree that we have to end U.S. complicity in Israel's genocide in Gaza. I think that will actually be better, not just for Palestinians, but for Israelis as well.
So how do you see the Middle East shaping up? I mean, do you see Israel agreeing to establish a Palestinian state?
Well, we have to start by stopping sending the military aid that is propping up the fact that Trump and Netanyahu launched this war together in Iran and Lebanon, which Dan Goldman voted against the War Powers resolution this week. He had a chance to say, I'm going to vote no on U.S. support for Israel's invasion of Lebanon, and he didn't do it. I think the U.S. has to stop being complicit in Israel's oppression of Palestinians, in Netanyahu's wars, and that can start some change.
So let's take away Israel. Let's take away ICE, because the two of you actually agree on it. What are the three most, other than those two?
Yeah.
What are the three most important issues in your district?
Well, number one is housing. I mean, housing prices are just insane. My kids can't afford to find a place to live. $5,000 a month is the asking price in Manhattan. Young people don't imagine they'll be able to buy a home. That's, my whole career has been working on affordable housing. So housing is number one. I talked about healthcare. I mean, healthcare costs are also insane. And childcare, like the affordability crisis facing families are the issues that matter on the ground.
What would your first piece of legislation be?
Well, on the housing issue, when I was comptroller, I issued the city's first what are called social bonds, $4 billion, financed 15,000 affordable homes. The federal government has never issued social bonds for housing dedicated.
So that's going to be your first.
Number one will be social bonds to finance 100% affordable housing.
How do you plan to get President Trump to sign that?
Well, he likes affordable housing, so maybe we'll get him on board. In the mayor's race, I proposed building homes on 4 of the city's 12 city-owned golf courses.
You did, as a matter of fact.
I think maybe he would like that idea.
Well, but he on a golf course? I don't know.
I don't know if he's ever played on the city-owned municipal golf courses.
Yeah, but I don't think he'd want to have a house on a golf course. I could be wrong.
Well, you could build whole new communities there.
I know, but affordable housing, he wouldn't want it anyway. Anyway, so I do have to ask you this. There's a problem. Mr. Goldman has accused you of doctoring some quotes, and he calls it a deep fake, making it look like he supports, taking corporate contributions.
First, he does take corporate PAC contributions.
But he says you took 2 sentences from a debate and put them together, and it was inappropriate, and that X went after you.
So first, go on X and look at the video I have up there, and you be the judge. He lied to Errol Lewis and said he doesn't take corporate PAC contributions. He does take corporate PAC contributions. He takes them into his leadership account. And he said in that debate, you're right, I take corporate PAC contributions, take the money from anyone who offers it to me. He then goes on and says, then after I have that money in my leadership account, I give it out to other Democrats. So I put that clip up as well, but I think this is why people are fed up with corporate Democrats. It's money from American Express and Walmart and Google cashing their checks, put you on the hook to them.
I don't want to cut you off, but we have to leave it right there for now. But up next, Jack Schlossberg. We are back with Brad Lander, and I know that you've talked about taxing the rich, but just this past week, Samsung and Exxon said they were leaving New Jersey because of tax policies in the metropolitan area. I wonder if you think that taxing the rich has gone too far and that businesses from New York, New Jersey, the metropolitan area will go to Texas and Florida and things like that, and that if maybe it should be reevaluated.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't think we've taxed the rich nearly enough. It's better to do nationally. That's why I support Elizabeth Warren's wealth tax. That's just 2 cents on every dollar of wealth, over $50 million of wealth. 3 cents over $1 billion would generate $6 trillion, enough to pay for universal child care, health care, and a lot of affordable housing. That's a big part of why I'm running.
But that's dead on arrival with the present president.
Well, it's not going to happen with Donald Trump, I'll give you that. But this is why Democrats have to win some things next year, like accountability and health care subsidies, and then tee up a presidential race where we can actually deliver on for working families.
So what do you think your greatest strength would be in Washington?
Oh, I mean, I'm a good team player. I know how to build coalitions. I take on bullies. You know, I passed groundbreaking legislation in New York City for Uber drivers and delivery workers and fast food workers and freelancers. I even got all the Republicans to vote with that Freelance Isn't Free bill to outlaw wage theft against freelancers. I'll do it in Congress, too.
So if you got elected, would you vote for Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker?
I would. Sometimes you have to make that coalition, but I'll also hold him accountable, just like voters should hold me accountable.
Who are your mentors, your role models?
The person whose influence has mattered the most to me is someone named Adi Barkan, who died of ALS a couple of years ago. He was just a fierce leader for healthcare and decency, and somebody who I'm thinking about all the time.
So I guess the question is what your strategy would be if you went to Washington and the House doesn't go Democratic.
Well, first, the House is going to go Democratic. I'm going to spend all fall out on the hustings trying to make sure we win. But I'll answer, to me, you have to organize in your neighborhood. Like, I went out to Minneapolis after Alex Preddy and Renee Good were killed, and people there channeled their good neighbors of Minneapolis, but also their rage, into a movement powerful enough to push ICE and Bovino out of their city. So I think we should do our first oversight hearings of ICE's crimes in Minneapolis. Let's show that the people of this country are good people who don't like fascism and will stand up together.
But see, the reason I asked you the question is you see this wave of redistricting going on around the country, and a lot of it in red states. And so what the Republicans are trying to do is get an edge to prevent the Democrats from taking control of the House. And a state like New York can't change its system
quite as fast. We'll do it in 2 years.
Right.
But we.
So this would be the effect on this November's election. And so do you think that the redistricting that's happened around the country with the Republicans winning and being upheld by courts and Democratic states not being able to be as fast on the draw is going to make it more difficult for you to take control?
Well, it's going to make it more difficult, sure. They are trying to steal elections wherever they can. We will have to do the redistricting, but you're right. We care about the rule of law, and so it'll take longer in New York. But Donald Trump is so unpopular right now, taking us into these endless wars while the cost of living is skyrocketing. He has no plan to make life in America better, and people can see that. So we're going to win in November.
What about the War Powers Act? The Congress finally just passed it to overturn it.
Look, I'm going to give credit to those 4 Republican members who realize that this is horrible, that launching a reckless and illegal war that's driven up prices and done nothing is outrageous. So let's honor those 4 Republicans. I don't agree with them on many things, but that actually is a good sign. We don't want endless wars.
So why did you leave the DSA?
Well, I joined the DSA when I was a freshman in college in 1987, so that was some time ago, and I was never endorsed by them. I have fought alongside them for universal health care. On October 8th, they advertised a rally that I really very strongly disagreed with, and I couldn't, stay a member at that point.
So we were talking with Jack Schlossberg about his favorite drink, which he says is seltzer. And you told me that you have your own seltzer drink, so why won't you tell me what your seltzer drink is as well?
Sure. So I love a plain seltzer or a flavored seltzer, but my maybe unusual drink is that I make a sparkling iced coffee.
Okay, tell me how you do that.
That's delicious. So, you know, cold brew is like a tea bag, but coffee, and you just put it in your pitcher overnight, and then you have cold brew in the morning. If you have a pitcher of seltzer and you put a nice tight lid on it, then your iced coffee is sparkling
And
the next morning.
how do you eat a hot dog?
On the Cyclone.
No, but what do you put on it?
Oh, all right.
I have to say that ad was amazing, that you were able to eat a hot dog while taking the Cyclone.
I rode the Cyclone 8 times that day. No, I rode it 8 times. I ate the hot dog on one. I rode on the pad on another. I could have ridden it another 8 times.
You must have an iron constitution. Do you put mustard or ketchup? What do you put on it?
My preference is ketchup, mustard, and relish.
Really?
Yes.
So do you have a guilty pleasure?
A guilty pleasure. I mean, I have too much ice cream, so yeah, and you know, whenever
Ice
I got
cream?
a sweet, I have a sweet tooth. Yeah.
What kind of ice cream?
Pretty much any flavor of Ben and Jerry's.
What's your last vacation?
The first week of the year, I finished as controller, you know, December 31st, and my wife and I went to Morocco for a week, Marrakesh, and we had a great time
Marrakesh
there.
is wonderful.
Amazing city.
And did you bring back any souvenirs?
Yes, we did. A beautiful lamp that's now on our deck, you know,
Okay.
my sukkah.
Is there one thing that New Yorkers don't know about you?
Oh, I'm pretty transparent. I think New Yorkers know an awful lot about me, which is great. You know, I launched my campaign with that Mr. Rogers style ad. That really is me.
Do you think of yourself as a creative person?
Yes. Yeah, I'm not like artistic. My daughter is like a brilliant
express your
textile.
creativity?
With legislation, I'm afraid.
Okay, so I'm going to end with this. The Knicks. You happen to be wearing Knicks colors.
Everyone in New York is rooting for the Knicks today.
In. So the Knicks are going to win? They're not going to win?
Oh, they are. It's so exciting this year. The energy in New York is just really good right now.
Have you always been a Knicks fan?
Well, I mean, look, I grew up in St. Louis. I'm like I bleed St. Louis Cardinal red, you know. But I raised my kids here. I think you're a New Yorker when you've raised your kids here. Now, my kids will tell you they don't even agree with that, but they are just diehard Knicks fans. And
No, is basketball your sport, or do you like baseball, hockey, football?
Both baseball and basketball. We're big Liberty fans, loving the Knicks right now. Go to see a lot of baseball games as well.
Are you a Yankee fan or a Mets fan?
Well, I told you, you know, I bleed St. Louis Cardinal red,
So
but
you're a
I'll
Cardinal
root
fan?
for either the Yankees or the Mets as long as they're not playing the Cardinals.
A good answer. And at least you didn't say the Red Sox.
Yeah, well, no.
Brad Lander, good luck. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Helm, for joining us as well.